We're going to start looking at patterns and variables today. And this is going to go along with anything that has a 1 in your notes packet. So some vocabulary that we need to talk about first. Each number in a pattern is called a term. So if I say what term comes next, you know that's what we're talking about. Conjecture, and I think you maybe have talked about this in science, it's a prediction about what may happen. So you're going to predict about what can happen, and then we're going to test it out. So kind of like a hypothesis and doing an experiment. And a sequence is a set of numbers that follow a pattern. So in this sequence, what is the next term that will happen? So those are things that we might be hearing. So let's take a look at a couple of things together here. I want to write the next two terms in the number pattern. So when I'm looking at my numbers, 5 and 12, 19, 26. So I can see it looks like I'm increasing by 7. So that's important. I'm increasing each one by 7. So to find my next one, I'm going to add 7. So that means 26 plus 7 would give me 33. 33 plus 7 gives me 40. So my next two numbers are 33 and 40. All right, so let's do a couple more here. So again, I'm looking to see, is my number getting bigger, or am I increasing, am I decreasing? How much am I increasing by? How much am I decreasing by? So I'm increasing by 10 each time. So I'm going to be at 41, 51. My next one, so this one I'm decreasing, so I'm going to be subtracting, and it looks like I'm going to be subtracting by 8 each time. So 32, so that's going to be multiples of 8 backwards. So 24 and 16 should be my next two terms in the sequence of numbers. This time I look like I'm getting bigger, so I know I'm going to be adding or multiplying. But this case, I'm definitely going to be adding, and I'm adding, it looks like 7 each time. So my next two numbers should be 57 and 64. So now I want you to try to write a rule for each pattern. So my rule back here would be my rule would be for this one right here, my rule would be start with 1 and add 10 repeatedly. Here I would say start with 56 and subtract 8 repeatedly. Here I would say start with 29 and add 7 repeatedly. So I want you to try that for these two. And I'm going to pause and you pause, and then we'll see each other in just a second. All right, let's take a look at the first one. I did not mean to do that. Our first rule is going to be start with 1 and 5/10 and multiply by 3 repeatedly. And our next rule is going to be start with 256. Our number is getting smaller, and it's getting smaller by a lot, so that means we're going to be dividing by 2 repeatedly. The other way you could say that is start with 256 and multiply by 1/2 repeatedly. I think that is all that we have for today, so we'll see you tomorrow.